What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy Mal, and I came to speak about that. The Brooklyn Nets center, Lamarcus Aldridge, retiring. If you didn't know, or under a rock, Lamarcus Aldridge had a heart problem, and he decided to tap out and say he's retiring. I don't even know if I would call it tap out, as more so as just saying take the proper precautions so that he doesn't die. But regardless, Lamarcus Aldridge, to me, as I said before, is one of the I would say probably in the last 20 years, he's probably top 3, top 4 big man of the last 20 years or so. So he's a great player. And obviously you know the respect I had for him when he was on the Spurs, and when I had no idea he had a heart problem. But I do understand that because I had a couple friends, I played sports my whole life, and it's a couple times my brother, he had like a heart arrhythmia situation where even though he played, he would always have a hard time getting cleared in his physicals and stuff because he had like a faint heart beat thing at sometimes. And I remember he hated that because every time he knew he had to get a physical, he knew it would be some type of crap going on with it. He never had any problems when he played. He was a good player, and he never really, he never had any problems with it. But Lamarcus Aldridge said the last time that he's had, like, his is worse. Like he gets real bad panic attacks where it looks like he's gonna have a heart attack. It feels like he's gonna have a heart attack. For what I'm hearing, I have to buy that the stress of the backlash he was taking from joining the Nets, combined with the fact that that he's out there playing, and clearly it's a tense situation where people are I mean, Lamarcus Aldridge has never been like a hated guy in the NBA. He's never really looked for fame. He's never really been about that. So do I think that this heart thing has something to do with it? Of course, but it was the main reason. Of course I do. But I also think what brought on that stress of dealing with people hating you and saying, nobody's never said anything negative about Lamarcus Aldridge his entire career, and now all of a sudden you got people sending you messages telling you you're a coward and you're messing up the NBA and you're this. I'm pretty sure for Lamarcus Aldridge, he's not used to people cheering. He seems like just an all-in-out nice guy. I don't think in his mind he's not Kyrie, he's not KD. He's not a person who looks or is used to negative media attention, and all of a sudden now he's getting this negative. That has to bring on stress, and I am not surprised that it probably led to a panic attack. Led to a heart problem. He can't be stressed. That's one of the problems. When you get annoyed or mad or anxiety ridden, your blood pumps and overworks your heart. So if he's stressed out and clearly this is not the best position for someone with a heart problem. So I understand him leaving. It's just, to me, I think if he would have stayed on the Spurs or any other team, he could have done that. But on the Nets, he clearly can't do that because even when he's not playing, he's stressed because it's a different beast when everybody wants you to fail. And KD and Kyrie and Harden, I don't really think gets a lot of backlash. Like, I never really hear anybody say anything negative about James Harden. I always hear people say negative things about Kyrie because Kyrie's an asshole. I rarely ever hear people say anything, and Kyrie and KD are the ones because they're both assholes. So Harden just doesn't say anything. He doesn't feed into the negative attention. He just talks about basketball. He doesn't attack people personally. He does. Well, he had a spat when he first got on, when he was on the Rockets, where he kind of felt like people were trying to come at his situation, saying that he was a spoiled child, and now that he created the atmosphere, he wants to leave. He did speak on that. Well, that's one of the few times James Harden speaks out to the media attention. Most of the time, he just doesn't. He plays basketball. In the off season, he does his own thing. He doesn't involve himself in back and forth with media. Kyrie Irving, KD, that's all they do. I mean, they just bicker back and forth, try to re-clarify all situations, only to make them worse 90% of the time, and it usually serves no purpose other than to further fuel the annoyance of people. Because I understand that Kyrie, Kevin Durant, you know what I'm saying, they grew up probably not rich. I don't know about Kyrie. Kyrie's dad played basketball, so he probably had some money, and he grew up overseas. So, you know, when I saw that thing with Dennis Schroeder, and they say he said the N-word, but I'll talk about that later, a little later on in this thing, because it's annoying. I mean, especially people who talk like that, who don't even get what Kyrie Irving said and why it's retarded to me. So that was the first situation. They talk. They say stuff to people, and because of their prestige and the way that they're seen in society, they think you can literally hear it in their tone. They think they're better than other people. So I always trip when I hear people say, well, you know, Kevin Durant bickers back and forth with people because he doesn't see himself as better than those people. I'm sorry, I don't agree. I think Kevin Durant, a lot of times when he does bicker back and forth, he has a very condescending way of talking to people. Right? He talks condescendingly to those people. So when he speaks about people, he's putting them down. He's not having a discussion most of the time. It's usually him trying to embarrass people, him trying to say that they're broke, that they don't have that they don't know anything about it. They're not as well known as he is. He is a very petty way of going back and forth. Kyrie Irving is not as juvenile as Kevin Durant is in his responses, but Kyrie Irving is still condescending. His condescension is more, I'm on another level intellectually than you guys, so I won't bother. I'll just say some one-word response that doesn't really answer any damn question, but makes me feel like I'm smarter than you are. Even though everybody's left thinking you didn't say anything that made it better. All you did was say some stuff that everybody knew, but you somehow think is a function of your higher brain. But that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to say about Brooklyn that I wanted to get into was, Lamarcus Aldridge and him retiring. So great career to Lamarcus Aldridge. I can't say, and I mean, it would be completely disingenuous if I say I wasn't happy he left. I'm not happy he's going through an injury. I pray that he doesn't have any complications with this issue. Has absolutely nothing to do with him as a person. Absolutely nothing to do with his health. I mean, do what you gotta do for your health. But I can't say I'm sad to see him leave. You know what I'm saying? I thought the Brooklyn Nets base with him were basically unbeatable. Clearly. I just think he was too versatile as a big man for most teams. Now the Nets are in trouble because they still don't have any inside. I mean, I guess they saying that the Clippers might let go of DeMarcus Cousins, so they might be able to pick up DeMarcus Cousins and he might be able to fit in there. But for the most part, DeMarcus Cousins isn't the defender and rim stopper he once was. So he can't move. He can't guard perimeter. So do I think he's going to be a good pickup for them? No. I don't know another big man that passed the trade deadline. They just don't have any options right now, and they're going to be closer to the Miami Heat. LeBron James first year, they're going to have 3 talented guys. But the difference between that is LeBron James, Bosh, and Wade were good two-way players, so they can make up for a lot on the offensive and defensive side. Kyrie's a terrible defender. Harden's a terrible defender. Joe Harris is a terrible defender. DeAndre Jordan is an average big man at this point. He's no longer the defensive stopper he once was. You could get the same production. There's like 20 other big men you would take before DeAndre Jordan, so he's not elite. You know what I'm saying? To make up for all the defensive efficiency, you can put Claxton in, and Claxton is a good player, but offensively he's very limited. So, I mean, he's limited to a catch and dunk player. He's a younger version of DeAndre Jordan, but he's not the athletic specimen DeAndre Jordan was. He's still slight. He's slight, and he's not that tall. He's tall, but he's not DeAndre Jordan. And he definitely doesn't have DeAndre Jordan's jumping ability. So he's a slightly average athletic big man, but he can't guard the perimeter once again. And so that hurts when you have a team that likes to run and shoot, right? If you're trying to run and shoot and you have a defensive man a defensive person that has to stay under there, it's kind of hard for them to make a run to come up to do pick and rolls or give and goes when when they're catching the ball off the cylinder. You know what I mean? Because you catch it and you got to shoot it to the point guard. But if you do that, most of the time you're going to be trailing the play. So it slows them down offensively to have a guy like Claxton playing all the time, which is why they like to go small with Jeff Green a lot. And that works, as I said, in the regular season when you have teams who can't prepare for you. But that's an easy fix in the playoffs because I can just put one of my forwards on Jeff Green, and now Jeff Green is basically useless, and you can basically do what the Lakers did to him. Close out on it, just guard, stay in the paint, and close out on their shooters. Make Kyrie Irving or the person with the ball beat you, whether that's Kyrie Irving, KD, or Harden. And that's what people don't understand. Everybody keeps saying, don't get what, like even when Ben Simmons said, there's only one ball. And people don't get that. They think he's saying they won't be able to share. No, he's not saying that. He's saying if you're a good defensive team, then your focus doesn't stop. It's not like with the Warriors. The Warriors, you can have 2-3 players. They can move. Clay and Steph moved without the ball. They ran all around the court. They were moving without the ball. So they didn't need the ball. They just needed to get open. So your defense was spread because you had to run to keep up with those shooters. Harden and Kevin and Harden and Kyrie are great, and KD are great off the ball, but they're not consistent off the ball. You saw that with the Lakers. They need to dribble and create space. They're not good catch and shoots like Steph and Clay are. They're just literally just ISO players, both of them. So when Ben Simmons says that there's only one ball, he's trying to say my job as a defender doesn't change. I have to stop the ball. And from the time you playing Little League basketball, the end game is stop the ball. So if you have to have the ball to be effective, to move. As a defender, my job is easy. Kyrie Irving is not running baseline screens and coming around off the ball screens and stuff like that. He's not doing that. Kyrie Irving is standing up. James Harden is standing up watching KD go ISO. So I can help off of either one of them because I don't mind giving them an open three at times because they're not going to hit it as consistently as a Clay or a Steph is going to hit it. So I don't understand why people didn't get what Ben Simmons was saying. They took it as a slight. He was not trying to say that they weren't going to work with each other. He's trying to say there's one ball. So they're all basically they had the same problem LeBron and D Wade had. They're the same player. outside of Kyrie, who is a driver, Harden and KD are pretty much the same player. Harden relies heavily on contact to be effective, meaning he relies so heavily on the refs that if the refs choose to swallow their whistle, he is so ineffective. And it resorts to fadeaways and things of that nature. He's not an athletic specimen. That's what people don't understand. James Harden is extremely skilled, but he is not athletic. He's not blowing past people. He's a very skilled player who uses his shot to make people hesitate. When he gives them a pump fake, they hesitate, and then he just steps. Once he makes his first step, if he gets around you on that first step, if you hesitate and he gets around you on that first step, he's good at he's very skilled. He's good and he uses technique. He gets around you and he immediately comes back on top of you. If you're a wide receiver, you know what I'm talking about because they teach you to do that as a wide receiver. When you run a pattern as a wide receiver, no idea what my computer's doing right now. But yeah, as a wide receiver, they teach you that very early. When you're running, you come out, and as soon as you get around somebody, you step over. That means you cut them off, and then you make them trail you the entire time. Now they can't go by you unless they go around you, and if they go around you, they're gonna lose a step. So he does that very well. Once he gets around you, he'll get right in front of you so that you have no choice but to let him score or foul him. And he's really good at doing that. But the difference in that situation with James Harden, when you're playing a good defensive team, is they're not gonna go for your pump fake. That's the same thing works for Kyrie and Harden when it comes to shooting, and the same thing works for Kevin Durant and Harden when it comes to shooting, which is stay down. KD, you're not gonna be able to stick your hand up, right? But the technique to guard neither one of them is staying down. Don't go for the pump fake, especially with Kyrie and Harden. Don't go for the pump fake. Stay down and just wait. Be patient, because they're probably not gonna shoot in the first pump fake. So just wait. LeBron is very good at doing that. When he guards them, he just doesn't go for their fakes. He waits, and because he knows Kyrie is short. So even if I give him the extra second to verify that he's actually shooting, I'm tall enough to still affect his shot. I can still close out and affect his shot. James Harden is not athletic. He's not getting a lot of lift, and he doesn't get a lot of lift on his shots. So even if I wait on him, I can wait and still close out late and still affect his shot because he is not athletic, and he has to rely on falling backwards to get a good shot. And that's why they get a lot of clangers. They miss a lot because they shoot a lot of difficult shots. So teams are okay with that. They're like, okay, we just stay down. You get a good defensive player, we stay down. That's why it seems like Harden gets less foul calls in the playoffs, because those guys, if he gets over, they don't let him get over. They'll let him get around, but they stay vertical and just stay on that same trajectory all the way to the rim, keeping their hands up. And he's trying to do everything in his power to get them to go for a fake and stick their hand out or go for it, but they don't. They just keep their hands up. That's what a good defensive team does to you. And then he ends up, having to shoot a difficult layup or something like that, and then he turns to the referee like, why didn't I get the foul call? It's because you're not playing garbage teams right now. They're not going to be just woefully slapping at the ball, giving you two free throws every time they're panicking, every time you drive the ball. These are disciplined, good defensive teams. The Heat, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers. You're not going to be dealing with the Heat. The East is not as weak as it once was. Or in my opinion, I don't really think it ever was that weak. It's just excuses Jordan fans made to take away from LeBron. But I never thought the East was weak anyways. But they're definitely better now than they were 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, they're not the West, but they're still not. This is not cupcakes over there that the Brooklyn Nets are going to walk through. So that being said, I mean, looking at them play, I can't fathom a scenario where they beat the Heat with Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and that deep bench they got. I can't see it. I don't see a scenario where that works out for them. If they end up, and what makes it so great, people don't even understand how, when I saw that, I was obviously sad for Lamarcus Aldridge, but it felt so good, because I felt like they were a bunch of idiots. If you did not know it, the Brooklyn Nets are the worst thing to happen to the NBA and forever, right? They are the most selfish team in the NBA. They don't give a shit about what it does to the product. They don't give a shit about how it hurts ratings. You have a primetime game between the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. People are coming out to see this game. Everybody's hyped up for it. But right before the game, they say nearly all the stars aren't playing for the Nets. And then, after being blown out by 22, Kyrie sits the last 8 minutes, which I'm not really, it doesn't matter. That game was over. I mean, it didn't matter. So, I don't care about Kyrie not playing. But, how selfish is that? Why would you make Kevin Durant play against the Timberwolves? A non-televised game, a non-nationally televised game. You pick that game that was postponed today and force Kevin Durant to play on that team. Because they don't care. They couldn't care less about what it does to the product. They didn't care. And that's what I hate about them. It's like everybody, you see Steph Curry got hurt, he's doing whatever he has to do to get back. LeBron, Anthony Davis, doing whatever they try to get back. If they're able to play, they play, especially in a nationally televised game. They're the only team that every time there's a matchup, of a big matchup that everybody's waiting to see, one of them just doesn't play. Kyrie Irving just picks and chooses that he just doesn't want to play. He has absolutely no real reason to not play, and he'll just not play. And it bit him in the butt. See, you chose to do that because they thought it didn't matter. They got a super team, so it don't matter if they are home or away. Well, you're screwed now because you could have avoided that by getting the number 1 seed. Now you have to play the Bucks, the Heat. Now you're gonna have to play all these teams in the first and the second round that you would have never had to play had you took that game serious and won against the 76ers. Now you got the hard road to the championship with a team with no big man going in the East where all the best big men are outside of Jokic. You screwed yourself. And so it made me so happy that arrogance finally got him. They think they're better than the league. And that's what I hate about that team. It's like it comes off as if they think they're better than the league. It's like they think the league. This is what I have to say to the Brooklyn Nets and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. These fucking. If y'all are so much better than basketball, if y'all were so much more important than basketball, get the hell out of basketball. That's my statement to you. If you think you're so much better than a basketball player, then get out of basketball. Why are you here? I'm so sick and tired of hearing them talking down about basketball players. They talk as if being a basketball player is some type of low, stupid thing that doesn't matter. Well, why are you there? That's what pisses me off. There are people who live this game. They love this game. They play this game. They play it for fun because it is a passion for them. You do it well. Kudos to you. You do it well. You were able to be put in a position where you were able to do it for a living, for money. Nobody has a right to tell you you should feel appreciative of that opportunity. Nobody has a right to tell you that. But you don't have a right to constantly tell people basketball isn't important. Basketball, to some people it is. To some people, basketball was the thing that saved them from living on the street, that saved their life. Basketball is something that they were able to do that kept them out of crime. Basketball is important to some people. The people that they watch, that help them get through their day, that help them get through their week, that help them get through things that are constantly all around. They give them pride in their race, in their backgrounds, in their cities, in their towns. All these things make basketball important. But if you're so much more damn important than basketball, get out of it. I'm so sick and tired of them saying, at the end of the day, it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball. Well, good for you. You don't find basketball to be important. There are a lot of people who don't find basketball to be important. Go with them. But don't come and mess up basketball for people who do care about it. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not even uber like that. But at the same time, it's like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing them talking about trying to condescend to people who play basketball like they take it too serious. This is these people's profession. That's their job. They're supposed to take it serious. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, life is so much more important than basketball. For you. But to other people, basketball is their life. And they're thankful for that opportunity. And because they take it serious and bleed the game, study it, work at it. Because they do that, because they're paid to do that. That's a profession. They're supposed to take basketball that serious. They're supposed to care about what happens to a sport, to a league that they want their children to play in one day. But if they got piss poor examples like you two, who choose to just treat the game like it's just, it's annoying to me at times. Like, who the hell are you? There are people who came into this game who don't get paid half as much as you do, and do you have any type of idea the influence basketball has had on the black community, the advances it has given children for generations, to help us speak when we had no voice? Do you have any idea how powerful sports have been to our community? And you take that voice and you undermine it by going out here telling people you don't take the game to be that serious. There are more important things that are going on. If Muhammad Ali can use his platform and continue to do his thing while still getting his message out, so can you. I'm so tired of it. Like, I can't even express how tired I am of hearing these NBA players demean the game of basketball as something that they don't give a shit about, and that is, every time something happens, this thing's more important than basketball. But they get the hell out of basketball and leave it for the people who actually love it. You can go do what you find to be more important. Nobody is begging for you to stay, Kyrie. Nobody's making you stay. You've been paid millions of dollars half of the time over the last 5 seasons. You ain't even played in them. You've been paid millions of dollars and you haven't even played. No, especially didn't hold up your end of the bargain. So, I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to think whatever the hell he wants. There's plenty of white people who look around like that idiot Laura or whatever her name is, who came up there and said, well, at the end of the day, you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a video game. Well, we can do that with everything. A lawyer gets paid to argue. A doctor gets paid to be a glorified Google search assistant who looks up stuff, looks up symptoms in his book, and looks up other cases to try to see if he can figure out what type of thing he can triangulate out of thousands of diseases, which one you put, what specific disease you have. We can do this all day. You can demean anything into what it is. But professions are professions. You can say a police officer gets paid to sit in his car and just watch people go through life. Because 90% of the time, they're not covering crimes. They can go 3-4 months without ever running into a criminal as a police officer. So we can say that they just sit in car, they get paid to sit and watch traffic. But there's a common sense factor in there when you understand, no, they're not sitting and watching traffic. They're actually focusing on and making sure that harmony is maintained. The fact that there is police officers makes people realize the importance of that make they even if they're not enforcing the law, they enforce it. Because if they weren't here, people would break the law. I say the same thing about basketball players. If they weren't here, as we saw during the pandemic, people go crazy. They have nothing to talk about. They have nothing to watch. They have nothing to gawk at. They don't have a storyline. They don't have... So yes, entertainment, as little as respect as most people may have for it, is very important. Because I wouldn't want to live in a world where everybody was forced to just look at each other all day, every day. That would be a very, very bad world, I think. Maybe people will go out and fish more. Maybe people will go out and do that, but that would only last for so long. So I'll say this. I'll say this. If you choose not to play basketball, by all means, that's your choice. But I'm so tired of them demeaning the sport. Like they're more important than the sport is. I don't care. Who cares? It's basketball. At the end of the day, I just do it for this. At the end of the day, I just do it for this. It's like what Cameron said in 2004 or something. Oh, I don't need rap. I just do it because I'm nice at it. Well, good for you, Cameron. But what was the need of telling me that? And I'll say that to Kyrie Irving. What does it benefit you to tell people that the platform that people respect you for, they shouldn't respect you for it? What do you gain as a voice by telling them your voice shouldn't be valued because you played basketball? If that influence can lead to change. If that influence can lead to change, then undermining the very product that gives you that voice is retarded. As I said before, black people, we're in a very, very important era for us. This is the first era, because you got to realize, black people ain't started getting their rights until around the 60s or the 70s. Right? We're going up against families that have had their rights since the 1200s, who've been able to gain capital and generational wealth for hundreds of years. We haven't been able to be put in that position in 100 years. Barely, we haven't really, technically, not even 50 years. We're finally getting to a place where we can create generational wealth that can go on for generations. And black people, we're doing that. And it's going to be a transitional period. But sports has been monumental in doing that. Giving us a voice, giving us a platform, giving us an opportunity to provide generational wealth for children, so that they don't have to go through the same thing. To give black people a face outside of the criminal element that is created to hold us back. And even though somebody like me, who played a sport, and even though I wasn't able to become a professional athlete at that sport still afforded me the opportunity to go to college. It still afforded me the opportunity to get experiences that majority of people in this world will never get. And that is priceless to me. So when you get on there and you demean it as athletics, and say, why is it even important? You're making the person who's watching it analyze whether or not they should be listening to somebody who does that sport. And that is so dangerous when so much of the rhetoric that we've gotten from the black community that has helped us has come from people who are athletes. Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali. These guys told them the black experience to people who would have never listened to a person who was a doctor, who's a black doctor or a black lawyer. Because they still have to work within the system to fix it. In sports, as an athlete, you can work outside of the system. In the 60s, where black people were seen as lower, dirty, disgusting, white people looked up to Bill Russell. Basketball did that. So don't come up here telling people that they have no right to look at people that they admire because of the skill they have. And they aspire to be like that person because of the skill they have, and tell them they're stupid for believing that. Everything he does is counterproductive to what he goes for. And that's why I have a serious annoyance with this Nets team and their way of seeing things, because they are the dumbest smart people you will ever find. Right? If you watch their and I know this is way more heated than I thought it was gonna be. I did not, but when I start analyzing how stupid it is for them to do what they do, not only that, the revenue for the league with LeBron out, the ratings have been going down. Right? They are struggling without LeBron. Because that top stars all injured. Harden's injured. Curry was injured for a little while. LeBron's injured. People are kind of like it's kind of like watching a TV show and none of the main protagonists are in any episode. We love to see LeBron because every time LeBron is on TV, you're seeing history. This is a man that will be remembered for 50, 30, 100 years from now. And you're getting to see it in live time. Everything he does is history. Steph Curry, everything he does is history. James Harden to an extent. Well, Kevin Durant and Kyrie don't bring shit. That's why nobody watches them. They bring shit. Kevin Durant does not bring history. He doesn't. You watch a guy who's really skilled at what he does. You know who else was really skilled at what he does? About 50 other people who come before Kevin Durant. Yeah, they were probably wanting the shooter Kevin Durant was, but not of them weren't the player Kevin Durant is. But the legacy and his legacy and his it's so warped and shitty. What's his story? What is Kevin Durant's story? He's not LeBron. He didn't go years without winning stuff, then be put in a position where, like, that's LeBron's story. He made it to the mountaintop, right? So did Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant made, I don't even remember how many years Kevin Durant was on, but he wasn't around long. So I think they were around the same, right? That's LeBron's story. Hit the peak 5, but you met somebody who was better than you. LeBron met the Spurs. He met LeBron, right? Come back down. LeBron is put in a position where he's forced to leave Cleveland because nobody will come there, right? He has no other talent around him, so he has to leave Cleveland. So he's like, I'm not gonna win here. Nobody's here. So LeBron is the first person to really say, look, I can't sit here like Kevin Garnett and wait until I'm in year 13 and I can no longer play and my ability to control my own narrative is gone. I can't stay. Nobody's coming to Cleveland, and I'm only going to be this good for so long. Well, it ended up being a lot longer than we anticipated it would be. But you at that age, it's like he could get injured. There's so much. So he's like, okay, I gotta go. So he goes to the Heat. He turns into the villain. Everybody hates LeBron, which is breeded on to this day. LeBron goes to Miami Heat, which is my favorite team, so I loved it, right? But that's his story. He turns into the villain. Then he loses to the Dallas Mavericks, gets ridiculed, destroyed. Almost like seeing the villain. You know how you see in a movie where the villain gets mauled, and then it cuts to the after scene and he's like ridiculed and he's like now the lowly person. You know what I mean? Like he's a bum. And he like used to be great. Now all these people, nobody has respect for him. He's a bum. That's LeBron, right? So now it's a redemption story. So that is captivating. Then LeBron redeems himself the next year and unequivocally becomes the best player in the league. Wins the MVP. It's like it's a redemption story. Boom, boom, and it's like okay, this story is great. You know, now he's the best player in the league, and it's not even close. And now that he's won that championship, there's such a confidence in him and the way that he plays. It's like he just ascended to another level. And now that guy that was the villain is now the greatest hero in the world. It's a great story, right? Then he drops. Then he says, at the height of his stuff, he's on a team he's on a perennial championship team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And if he would have stayed, they would have probably been back in the championship the year after that, right? But he says, no, I owe Cleveland a championship. I told them I would win a championship. So he goes back to Cleveland they can say whatever the hell they want. Kyrie Irving was a downgrade from Dwayne Wade. Kevin Love was a downgrade from Chris Bosh. So he went to a significantly less talented team. He went from a 6'4", one of the best top 3 two guards of all time, an athletic big that could spread the floor and protect the rim and do all the things, to a limited big man who was not athletic, couldn't go out the perimeter, could shoot the three, but was terrible in the mid-range. Was a great rebounder, but he was a below-the-rim scorer, right? A undersized guard that was a great offensive threat, but was a liability defensively. He downgraded to go to the Cleveland, but he did it because he wanted the Cavaliers to win a championship. He made a promise that he wanted to keep. So now this is the most amazing story in the history of the NBA. It's LeBron James. Even if you go back to his time of being the chosen one, right? Hero, villain, hero, right? Now he's like, I'm gonna go back and win a title for a city who hasn't won a championship in anything. I don't know, since like the 60s in football. Right? So he's like, iconic status. He goes back. And this new guy comes on the scene who is Steph Curry. The new face, changing it's like, okay, now the big bad hero that became the villain and redeemed himself, now he has to deal with the changing landscape. You couldn't write this stuff better than LeBron's story was. Now he's the older guard, the guy who was the young hotshot that was the hero, babyface, and then he became the villain, then the redeemed villain to the now you add the element of him going back to basically give charity in a way. So he becomes the warm-hearted redeemed villain. that now comes back to win the championship. Steph Curry is the new hot shot that's changing the way things are, and the old guard is there. And this new guy is a different type of assassin, right, than what he's dealt with in the past. And not only that, he has a platoon with him, right? And Steph Curry is magical, right? All the focus goes from the defeated, the redeemed king to the new hotshot, right? Everybody's talking about, oh, this is done. His era's gone. He's done. He's never gonna win anything in Cleveland. He plays him, hotshot beats him, right? He loses his two top guys that could help him. Fights valiantly, but in the end, he has to give it up. And people are saying it's the new era, the new Warriors are the new thing. He can't adapt to that. He's old. Comes back next year, they're kicking his butt again. They're down 3-1. They've ripped through theirs. Went against his old rival in Kevin Durant. Them, the old hot shots. Now, like, further, propping that style up, right? They got him down 3-1, and they're ridiculing this guy. He's crying. He needs to grow. He needs to grow up here. He needs to stop. LeBron comes back, and wins the greatest title in NBA history. Down 3-1 against a 73-win team. And is now once again redeemed as the king. Then the king is, not the next year, his Lancelot, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Fights with him and then decides, I don't want to fight. I want my own kingdom. Right? He leaves and goes to the Celtics. Now the king is by himself. Right? With sufficiently depleted kingdom, if you will. He fights valiantly, but in the end he can't. So he has to leave his kingdom and go to a place that has had many illustrious kings before him. Right? Steps in there, gets another guy to come in, and they win the championship again last year. Very captivating story. Right? All these, LeBron James is probably the most captivating story in the history of basketball. Chosen one, redeemed, storyline. You could write a freaking catalog on LeBron's story. That is the most well-written basketball narrative story in the history of the NBA. It's LeBron James. Right? I mean, Kevin Durant. What's his story? Now you could go that with even with Kyrie, with Steph Curry. Crazy, compelling story. Dad was an NBA player, not the greatest, but a good NBA player. He comes up, told he's too small. His dad doesn't even believe he's going to be able to play in the NBA because he's so small and so undersized. Nobody sees him coming. Nobody. He has no college offers. He goes to Davidson. And using the one tool he had, which was that deadly shot, he changed the NBA. That deadly shot did that. You seeing him on Davidson, and you're like, this kid is a prop. How in the hell is he so good? And to this day, nobody can really point to why Steph Curry is so good. It's a shot. It's a skill that is so obtainable, yet not. The way he does it, it's not attainable. Steph Curry is just the three-point shooter Steph is, but he can't do what Steph does. You know why? Because Steph is a different person. He's the first person like him in the history of the NBA. And people say, well, he chunks a lot of three. Well, you cannot put him in there with the generation. Because Steph was Steph. He utilized what he had, and so many people admired him because he utilized that, and they saw that they could do the same thing. They found out real quick they can't, because Steph is a different dude. But the story is so compelling that you are drawn into Steph Curry's story. You know, LeBron James coming to his basketball game, I mean, when he was the underdog at Davidson, to now he's unseating the king. It's crazy, the storyline there. Kevin Durant has no storyline. He's always been good, right? From the time he stepped on the NBA court, he was good, right? He didn't really win anything. He wasn't really on the radar. Then they got Russell Westbrook. And then they were the young hotshots, you know, going at it. They were young, and they had him. They had Harden. They were overstacked for a young team. Everybody thought they would win championships at some point. The storyline is compelling at the point, right? KD, LeBron, like, will KD catch him at some point? Then they just got cut off. KD's up 3-1. We finally finna see the mature Thunder versus LeBron James. And I am 100%, anybody go, if I had my video, I would show you. If I said, if the Thunder would have beat the Warriors, they would have beat the Cavs. I had no doubt in my mind. Kyrie Irving could not guard Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James and Kevin Durant would have been a swing. I mean, it depends on the game, right? LeBron is a better defender than Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant is more of an easier scorer. He would have been, LeBron would have been spread thin. You can't put J.R. Smith on Kevin Durant. So, in my opinion, I literally thought the Thunder would have won that game. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say about the situation is Kevin Durant killed his own story. He jumped on the Warriors, messed up Steph's story, messed up LeBron's story, didn't really add to his own other than just people being like, why did you do that again? Like, that's literally like the guy in the movie that hides and then goes and joins you, like, the whole time he's helping the protagonist, and then you turn around and find out that he was a traitor who got on the other team to hurt him, but in the end he ended up screwing both sides, so you really didn't, he just was the villain of the entire movie. That's who Kevin Durant was to me. Like his story got ruined. Instead of it being young guy who got to the mountaintop, dealt with injury, him and Kevin Durant, they just, it fell apart. Because he lost. He seemed like a spoiled kid who lost one time, who could easily just run it back, and they could have added someone like a Paul George or somebody of that sort to the Warrior Thunder, and nobody would have said anything. If Paul George would have went to the Thunder, nobody would have said anything. They added Victor Oladipo before Durant left. So they had the talent. So you think the next year they come back, they were already better than the Warriors. The Warriors weren't going to beat them again. I don't think the Warriors would have beat them again. But he feared LeBron. And that, in my mind, and whether he feared LeBron, that's up to debate. But he clearly feared something that he didn't just come back with the same team he had, plus Oladipo, and I'm pretty sure the Thunder have always been good at getting players. So he could trust Sam Presti. They barely lost. They were up 3-1. There are minor tweaks that could have been made. Enes Kanter was a big piece they could have used. Serge Ibaka, they traded him. I think they traded him for Oladipo. But I mean, there are moves that could have been made. They had pieces, but he didn't. He jumped on the Warriors, so his story got messed up. Anyways, I just wanted to say that. Come on and just preach that, because to me, I just felt like that was the Nets are getting what they deserve in Aldridge leaving. They spit in basketball players, fans' face. They spit in the network's face. They pissing and spitting in everybody's face because they think they're so much better than everybody else. They think they're better than the fans. They think they're better than the teams. They think they're better than everybody that's associated with basketball. And that's why I have no remorse about, they got what they deserve. You screwed yourself. You should have played that game, and you should have gave the fans what they deserve to see. They've been watching y'all shit through the season all year, and they finally had a real good game that they thought they were gonna see, and y'all yanked the rug out from under them. For what? Because y'all didn't care about basketball. Okay, y'all don't care about basketball. Well, have fun, because you won't be playing it. Because I don't see y'all beating. Y'all might beat the Heat or even the Bucks. Y'all ain't beating the 76ers without Aldridge. We saw that. You can put Kevin Durant in all you want. He's not helping that situation. He can't guard Joel Embiid either. And all the 76ers going to do is do exactly what the Lakers going to do to him. Slow him down. Kill him. Drummond, they ain't beating the Lakers. Even if they do somehow make it to the championship, they're not beating the Lakers without Aldridge. So, good luck. To me, you reap what you sow. You got what you got. You did not respect the sport. You don't respect the fans. You don't respect the sport. You don't respect anything that has anything to do with basketball. And now, these people gonna be dancing on y'all grave, and I can't wait for it because you deserve it. You screwed over the sport that we consume. We did our jobs as fans. We showed up to watch it, and you didn't do your job as a player. When you like I said, you talk down to people, you talk down to the fans, you talk down to the media, you talk down to everybody because you think you're so much better than the sport you play and the fans of the sports you play. Well, have fun. Because I can't wait to see y'all lose, and I can't wait to see you get ridiculed by the very same people you antagonize and think you're better than. So have fun. So if you like what you're hearing, please comment, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification so you get my videos as soon as they come out. Alright, y'all. Peace.